Hi, and welcome to this week's Three Legs, Four Wheels F1 podcast. It's Paul here with...
Sean.
Chris.
And Lee.
Oh, he is there.
He is there. I did wonder where he'd gone for a second.
Dramatic build-up.
Sorry about that. I'm still in the daze.
Why would you be in a daze?
Joe, I'm using a Aston Martin coloured mic lead for my mic tonight that I changed over just because of this.
We've got Mercedes coloured ones here, all black with a tiny little bit of silver on them, claiming that the silver. Oh, and there's a little bit of blue as well, so it's full on Mercedes.
Are they not quite as fast as the last generation of leads?
Given that the mic keeps sort of bouncing up and down, then I think we're using last year's.
I have a white coloured mic lead and a blue and silver headphone lead. So I'm repping Haas and Alpine.
Needs more pink in there.
Yeah, for the first 3 minutes of the podcast anyway.
So, F1 is back.
Yes.
Hooray.
It was a thing, it happened. What did we all think to the first race? Obviously, we'll go through it in more detail, but sort of
boring.
Is it going to be another season where it's just Red Bull, everybody else?
From what
I
we've
think it is.
seen so far,
Maybe.
I mean, did we see much of Verstappen after the opening lap?
No, because
No.
other semi-exciting things were going on while he was just pissing off into the distance.
I mean, that's fine. It holds your interest in the moment, but I think over the course of the year, we want to see a bit more going on at the front, don't we?
I think there's two things to remember here. And the fact, obviously, Red Bull have built a good car, and that's quite ominous. But this has traditionally been a rubbish race. And a way to make that race more rubbish is to put it at the beginning of the season, so you're dead excited to watch a race, then you've got to watch that one. And then a way to make it even more rubbish is to have testing there the week before, so cars get more chance to be dialed in. Yeah, I'm not giving up on the season just because this race was rubs.
Oh, no, not giving up on the season. I just... Opening races, as I alluded to at the end of last week's podcast, the end of my part of last week's podcast, was can be exciting when you get a lot of failures and new cars, etc. I think the beginning, the first race of last season was quite exciting, but this one, it was like test plus one. It was just a little bit cautious by everybody. I mean, there was stuff going on. Don't get me wrong; it wasn't like a procession, but it was just I don't know. I found it really difficult to get excited about. I'm really sorry, everyone, but I didn't get that excited about the race on Sunday.
No, it was a shame. I realistically, we're going to go through the teams, but I think Alonso made that race, didn't he? He made sort of the interest in it.
Yeah, he
pretty
was
much.
definitely probably the most lively to watch.
Oh yeah, I mean he was doing he was doing good things. He was actually, I mean, he was doing the opposite of Alpine.
Yeah.
The opposite of Ocon, you mean?
Oh God.
Gasly had a really, really good race. He
Did
had a rubbish Saturday.
20
but,
to 9th, was he?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, where his teammate went from 9th to last.
Yeah, I think during the race itself, I ended up, and this won't help the football fans or non-football fans at all, I ended up comparing it to Jonathan Woodgate's debut for Real Madrid. Such was the level of disaster.
For those who don't know, he had to wait.
Spent a year and a half injured.
Yeah.
Came off the bench, scored an own goal, got sent off.
Oh.
Yeah. Little
Amazing.
more could have gone wrong.
Yeah, it could have gone better. We'll tell you what. We'll start at the back, work our way forward, and we're starting at the back with McLaren.
We are. McLaren were awful.
Now, there's a big debate on at the moment about Oscar Piastri's steering wheel and what outdated version of Windows it's running, because apparently it was a steering wheel that took the whole car down.
8. Probably 8.
Vista.
I was going to say, Vista appears to be the most popular one, or Windows 98.
Ooh.
No, I'm going for 8
Windows
because
98 was solid.
Windows 98 is outdated but was reliable.
Not at first.
Vista, shit show.
I'm
Absolutely.
going Windows 8 because the McLaren wheel's got the big screen on the front of it, and it's clearly the tile system that was on Windows 8 that went wrong.
Interesting.
And when he stopped, there was no start button.
Hey! Oh, I like it. Windows jokes.
Oh. Right, that's me done for tonight. Talk amongst yourselves. So, yeah, it's hard to tell how Piastri was going to do because the car is... Well, we don't know what the car is. I mean, Lando managed to sort of drag it.
When he
through
was
qualifying.
behind, he was for a little while in the race, wasn't he? After he had all his pneumatic issues, he was behind the Hamilton section and seemed to be keeping pace with them, even though he was a good lap or so down by this point.
He was
But the
catching
pace,
Hamilton.
yeah, the pace looked okay. It looked like it could be in contention for the points if it stopped pissing its hydraulics all over the place every couple of laps.
Yeah. I think Lando said that with a clean race, he thinks he could have got a point.
Yeah.
So, for me, McLaren kind of look where Alpine is, sort of thing. I think that they might be the closest company for Alpine, maybe ahead of the, also maybe not ahead of Alfa Romeo, but sort of in that pack.
Mm.
Yeah,
But
battling for
there's a new car.
respectability.
Yeah, I think that's what we've got to do with McLaren though. Is it's when is their new car coming? Is it
Australia?
No, I think it's Baku.
I don't know that it's a new car, is it? They decided very late on in the winter that they wanted to change development tack.
Yeah, it's essentially the upgrade package.
Yeah, it's a big upgrade, isn't it? It's not,
Yeah.
I think, like a little extra part. It is a big package.
Yeah.
I've seen it referred to as like an almost B spec.
Yeah, I think we'll see a bit of that this year. They're one of two teams that this weekend have gone, yep, got it wrong, guys.
Mm.
That's the only thing you can say, really, is did get it wrong.
I must say though, I don't think it's going to help McLaren. I think there's something because we've seen this too many times now with like McLaren just seeming to sort themselves out and get up there and then drop straight back down the grid. I mean, this must be like the third cycle of the recovery of McLaren.
Mm.
There has to be a point where you know they keep hitting that ceiling of being like best of the rest, and then dropping back down the order where you go. There's something clearly amiss there. I don't know whether it's like the technology center looks really, really impressive, but it is quite old now. You know, and their wind tunnel's quite old, and you wonder whether there's something operationally going on there that needs to be updated.
Do you think it's because they're spreading themselves too thin?
Maybe.
Because, I mean, they don't just launch an F1 car, do they? They've got the Indy car, they've got the Formula E car, they've got the Extreme E car.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They've got all their sort of applied technology stuff. They do a lot of stuff with winter sports. Were they doing something with Pinarello, the bike company, at one point?
Only when they were sponsoring the Bahrain team,
of
but I
course.
think they've sort of pulled out of that because they were spreading themselves too thin.
Yeah, but that McLaren Technology Centre is not just an F1 factory. There's so much going on in there.
Well, I think we said,
And of
when
course,
they started to,
there's the development of all the supercars in there.
Yeah, fair.
yeah, I think we said, didn't we, when they started to branch out? Like, is this going to affect the Formula One team? The other thing we could think is that they had last year where they were struggling with the car, but they kind of improved the car. But realistically, 50% of their work last year was trying to work out how to make Daniel Ricciardo drive it. That can't be good for car development when you're going into debriefs and one of the guys there just can't get his head around how to make the car go forward.
Yeah, because you're not getting that feedback from him, and he at that point would be the senior member of the team, and he's not giving them that data.
If anything, it's worse than no feedback because it's only negative feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those can't tell you what's good, but I can tell you everything that's bad about it.
Yeah.
You know,
So-
I don't know what I want, but I know what I don't want, and unfortunately, it's everything that I've got in front of me. Yeah, it's good. It could be a struggle this season. I mean, so it's what 3 or 4 races until they get the upgrades, but it's an evolution of an evolution, effectively. Because I mean, they ditched the whole aero philosophy, or development on the whole aero philosophy, late on in the development cycle, didn't they? So there's going to be teething troubles with the new package when it comes out, because that's what always happens.
Mm-hmm. By this point,
Well,
all your
realistically-
rivals have got 4 or 5 races worth of teething problems out the way.
Yeah, I mean, we could be looking to Imola or even Spain by the time that it's actually properly up and running.
I suppose they'll take one of their filming days when that package is ready to go.
Yeah, that would make sense.
It'll be so much easier next year, because then they'll just be able to slap everything on a 2022 car and try it on that.
I think it's time as well. You know how the filming days you've got to use wet tires and you can't go over a certain gear. You know, they're essentially sending the team there anyway. You know, the team, you've got to have enough people there to go and run a Formula One car for the amount of time they're allowed to film for. With the reduced pre-season testing, I think it's time we just allow them 3 tests a season. Just like you're allowed what a 10-hour day 3 times a year, and it's just go and test your car.
Yeah, because I mean, all right, they've cut the amount of testing down due to budget constraints, but
they're doing it anyway because they've still got to have all the things to essentially run a Formula One car.
Yeah.
The only thing they're saving money on is tires because they're not taking slicks.
no, they aren't taking slicks, but they're taking dummy control tires.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. So I mean, I take it they're still got to pay for those anyway. I wonder what the difference in cost is between them.
I mean, unless of course they're doing one of the organised Pirelli mid-season tyre tests, because every team gets the opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
Which does give you a full day of testing.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously,
Which is kind of like you're allowed to test for other people, but just not yourselves.
As long as you don't get any benefit from it, it's fine.
yeah.
I can hear a load of people listening to this being like, what about filming days? Well, filming days, you're restricted to 100. Is it 120 kilometers an hour?
It's about that.
Yeah, it's 120 kilometres an hour
Third gear.
and no more than 100 kilometres on track.
Yeah.
And is it third gear as well that you're only restricted to? You can't go
think
above
so.
a certain gear ratio, a certain gear number in the gearbox. And bearing in mind, for modern Formula One cars have 8, I think, gears. That's you're not getting. You can't really take data from that.
No.
No, none whatsoever. Which is why I think all the teams will be queuing up to do a Pirelli test, because that's the only opportunity they'll get outside of a race weekend to run the car at anything close to a competitive pace.
Yeah.
Shall we move on to Haas?
Yeah.
Oh, is that who's next?
That is who's next. K-Mag
Unfortunate for them, they deserve more.
K-Mag
Yeah.
in 15th and Hulk in 13th. I think tyre strategy let them down a little bit. I don't think they were as quick on the hard tyres as they thought they were going to be.
Because was K-Mag the only person who started on hards?
Yes. Yeah, because he
It
went
didn't
hard.
really work.
Yeah, he went hard, soft.
And
Hulkenberg-
Hulkenberg took a knock, didn't he? He lost
Yeah.
the front
Yeah.
end plate of his front wing.
And they left him out
And
for a ridiculous amount of time with it.
And I also don't know if anybody noticed, but when Hulk came into the pits to change his front wing, one of the mechanics took the wing off and then promptly knocked somebody over with it.
Oh. That's very good.
I didn't notice that, but that sounds about right.
To be fair, if any team should be used to replacing front wings,
Yeah,
I mean, given their history,
you would think they are well practiced.
you know, I mean, Gunther's into his cooking. What are his meatballs like? Racing joke. You get the meatball flag when
Oh, I
you've
see.
got to come in for a repair. Which K-Mag apparently, I think he got about 4 different races last year when he had a when he had wing problems.
Yeah, he went through a phase, didn't he, where he just found people on the opening lap.
But they didn't actually wave the meatball flag at the race, did they?
No. I don't recall anyone actually getting.
I think they said they're trying not to use
I
it
think
as
didn't
often this year. They're trying to sort of let the teams police it themselves.
Didn't they have a word with Alpine about Ocon and being like, we don't want to, so sort it out first?
Yeah, we're not going to tell you to do it, but you need to do it.
And then, of course, all the shit went down during, after, between, before that as well for him. But I think Haas were a little bit anonymous, just sort of kind of hamstrung by bad qualifying for K-Mag.
Mm-hmm.
A damaged car for Hulk, and a strategy that let him down. Nothing major to report, nothing good or nothing bad, which is it's utterly Rosberg. You can't get more beige than that. Talking of which, he's allowed back in the paddock because they've dropped the COVID regulations, and he celebrated by wearing his dullest outfit.
Yeah, there was some white in there. It wasn't all beige.
I do like the fact that one of his questions was, "You must have enjoyed overtaking Lewis." I'm an unapologetic Rosberg mark. I think he's great.
I'm going to have to dig that previous intro out where you said your thoughts on Rosberg after the infamous Austrian Grand Prix crash.
Yeah. I was wrong. It's like this is the thing. The podcasts and discussions are a learning experience. I've grown since then.
You are allowed to say face turn or heel turn. I'm not entirely sure.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is.
What did Lee say about the infamous Austrian Grand Prix in the opening?
I went for a really, really good run of referring to him as a cunt. I remember that. A really, really good run.
But I think he revels in that, doesn't he? He likes being the pantomime villain.
I like to think that my energy helped make him the man he's become.
Yes.
Do we not think that? Do we not look back at Austria, whatever year it was, 2014, 2015, 2016? I'm not entirely sure.
I think it's 16.
Do we not look back at that even now? In fact, I might fire up YouTube and look at it and just think, no, that's one of the biggest prick moves I think I've ever seen it during a race.
Yeah, it's right up there.
So I don't think that's. I don't think your opinion was necessarily wrong, especially given what we just saw at the time. I'm doing it. I'm firing up YouTube.
I mean, Lee's just turned around quicker than Mazepin on an outlap. Alfa Romeo next. Occasionally anonymous Sauber, but decent 8th place for Bottas.
Yeah.
And Zhou Guanyu in 16th.
With the fastest lap.
Yeah, what was that about?
It was to stop Gasly getting a point. It was a good move. Or 2 point. Yeah.
He was slipstreaming one of the leaders, wasn't he? Zhou Guanyu, he got the fastest lap.
He came in.
Nice.
They
They pitted him for it.
Yeah, right at the end.
Yeah, he was 12th or 13th.
In that neck of the woods.
Yeah, came in for a set of softs, and I made a joke in our Discord chat saying, "Oh, is he coming in for the fastest lap if they're not retiring him?" And then he goes and does it.
Ooh,
bless you.
Bless you.
Bless you.
I'm sorry,
Oh,
I
heck.
didn't even get a chance to mute the mic then. Sorry. No, I thought it was a really smart move.
I suppose, you make a point that it does. It takes a point away from someone else, then.
But I think not only to someone else, it's
rival.
Probably the team they're going to be fighting in the championship.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I've just watched Austria 2016. Rosberg's definitely a prick.
No. It's the angle.
No, it isn't.
It's just the angle.
There are many angles.
I think that the line he took was, albeit unorthodox, but it is.
Being in somebody's side pod isn't a correct line.
Yeah, I mean,
it would also qualify as unorthodox, I feel.
To quote Murray Walker, he was using all the track and more.
So, Guan Yu Zhou, his second ever fastest lap.
Oh, I couldn't have told you he'd got one before.
Yeah, he's...
No, I couldn't.
No, I've only just looked that up now, and I'm like, I'm sure he's had one before.
When?
Let me...
I mean, last year, obviously. But
Yes. Let me have a look.
not at Silverstone, clearly.
Japan.
Oh, come on, you can't say Japan. I was going to say you can't tell us he's got 2 fastest laps and then be like,
Yeah, the
he's
fastest lap and
definitely
the
got 2.
slowest looking up of the fastest
Yeah.
lap.
It's right down at the bottom of the page. No, he got fastest lap in Japan last year because I think
Okay.
I think he had the driest line and he was the last one on track.
Fair enough.
Because
Well, good for him.
when nobody knew who was world champion except Johnny Herbert.
Yes, that's true. That was a weird moment.
But yeah, the Alpha doesn't look anonymous this year. I mean, obviously all the cars do look anonymous livery wise, but performance wise, they're not.
I really like the way the Alpha looks this year. But yeah,
I don't like it.
performance-wise-
I don't like where them and the McLaren are like behind each other. Sorry, not McLaren, Mercedes. I'm not into that.
But Alfa Romeo appear to have made a bit of they've made a small step forward in comparison to where they were last year, and that's kind of what you'd expect teams to do going from one year to the next, with the rules largely remaining the same. Obviously, other teams have made massive steps forward, but it feels like a good progression for what is going to be the last year of Alfa Romeo. Before, is it Sauber next year?
It's was it Audi Sauber Ferrari next
Sauber,
year?
Audi something or other.
Audi Sauber, and then it becomes Audi in 26.
Yes,
So Audi is a title sponsor from next year.
or a co-sponsor along with Stake. I've lost track of what the Hinwil team is actually called at any given moment.
I must admit, at one point when Tsunoda and Zhou were having a bit of a battle on track towards the end of the race, I saw the Orlan rear wing appear, and I was like, "Oh, he's got past!" And I was like, "Oh no, wait, no, that's AlphaTauri now."
Yeah, after seeing a livery on a car for so long, you do kind of get used to it.
Yeah,
You know, it took me a good 10 years to not despise Ferrari for having the Marlboro logo on after being a McLaren fan all the way through the 80s and 90s. Then again, I still despise Ferrari anyway. AlphaTauri is next, or Orlan AlphaTauri, or whatever. The team that is not for sale, or the team that has been officially denied that it's
It
up
has.
for sale.
That's true.
yeah.
De
Which,
Vries was lackluster, wasn't he?
Yeah.
yes,
Didn't really see much from him.
I didn't expect him to be put away comfortably by Tsunoda.
Yeah.
wasn't it explained during the race that he had an opportunity to pit, but the team told him not to, just as this virtual safety car was called, and that ruined his race because then all the other cars around him did pit.
Yeah.
Right, okay, maybe if that would make more sense. But
Yeah, I think
it was
the
just
strategy
strange,
wasn't for
yeah.
him.
Yeah, so everybody around him saved time by pitting under the VSC. He didn't, and then lost 15 seconds or whatever it was by not doing so.
And what was the gap between him and points in the end? It was somewhere in the region of... he wouldn't have got points because he was over a lap down, but it could have been a better result on debut. Or full-time debut. God, this is confusing, you know. When he's a rookie, not a rookie.
When he's done races before?
Talking of...
I think he can be a rookie with one race.
It's his rookie
Yeah, I think
season,
so.
isn't it?
I mean, in strictly F1 legal terms, you're a rookie until your third race because you can do the rookie test if you haven't participated in any more than 2 races.
That's over a certain amount of time as well, isn't it? Because Alonso took a rookie test too at some point, I remember.
I feel like Kubica did
Yeah, he
as well
did.
at one point.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
in the last 2 years. If you've not done 2 races in that, then you're a rookie.
It's not a thing.
And Gary Paffett was a rookie
Oh, he's
for about 150 years.
he's still doing young drivers test now.
They can't pull them on the amount of races they've done. They should at least be able to pull them on the word young.
still young compared to me. Is Gary Paffett younger than me? Or
I have
not?
no
I
idea.
can't remember, and I can't be bothered looking it up.
I think he's younger than you,
Yeah, that's
but
Young compared to Alonso.
I don't think he's younger than, let's say, every driver currently on the grid.
That's what I didn't like when Schumacher retired both times. It meant I was older than the entire grid.
Yeah, that's a fairly representative sample size you've got yourself there, Flo.
Gary Paffett is 41.
Oh, so he is younger than Alonso.
Wow.
I'm just double checking
Get him in the
birthdays.
test.
He is 4 months older than Alonso. Alonso
he's
is
older
slight-
than Alonso.
Yeah, Alonso
Nope.
isn't 42 until July. Gary Paffett is 42 in a couple of weeks.
When's Alonso born in July?
Birthday, Gary Paffett.
Did you say when is he born in July? 29th.
Oh, I thought we could have been birthday twinsies as well. Damn it.
Happy birthday, Gary Paffett? You could have been a Formula One driver, but you had to go and spaff it.
What a beautiful tribute.
Our finest musical moments is the Total Shunt theme.
Which was Spider-Man with different lyrics.
Except the time that you did fooling around with different lyrics.
Oh, it did, yeah. Oh, that's disappeared. Have we spoke about this on the pod yet?
What?
That's been withdrawn.
The Private Paradise is now private again.
It is in the UK. I think it's still available in other territories. I think.
Oh shit! So it literally is just us.
Yeah, I think we've actually done some.
Well, more fool them because we are international.
Well,
People will find it.
We are, but now we can't listen to it. So
Well, we've heard it. We know what it goes like.
I think it's still for sale on Apple Music. Because I did buy a copy of Fooling Around just to play at a pub quiz one night to annoy people. Flood, I think you might have been there.
I was there, yeah. Because I heard the opening bars and may have burst out laughing, and everybody didn't know why.
Does anyone remember seeing Tsunoda do anything of note?
Tsunoda had a fairly decent
Yeah.
race.
Did he
I think,
have
from-
did he do a double overtake at one point where someone
Yeah,
else was
I
tripping
think
over
that was
themselves
on-
and he just
it was
cruised
on his-
past?
Yeah, that was his teammate, and Guan Yu Zhou, I think, in one go.
Yeah, almost took the last point off Albon as well, didn't it? Towards the end of the race.
I'd completely forgotten about the double.
Yeah,
overtake.
it was a quietly productive day for him, I think.
Yeah, came in just over a second behind Albon.
I'm confused. Is this Yuki Tsunoda's third season or second?
Third, I
Third,
think.
because Drive to Survive last year was all about how he was acclimatising to both Formula One and mushy peas, and he got on with Formula One a lot better than he got on with mushy peas.
But not exercise. Didn't like exercise.
He must have really disliked mushy peas.
He didn't like them.
There is nothing wrong with mushy peas. As a Yorkshireman,
No, they're
as a Yorkshireman, we have them with a Sunday dinner.
incredible, incredible food.
Yeah, not in this house. You don't have them with a Sunday dinner.
I know. I'm looking. I look at my plate every Sunday and think there's a space there. I'll hang my head. Let's move on. Williams, Albon in the points again in 10th, and strong debut for Logan Sargent in 12th.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, fantastic. Really strong debut. I get a feeling that's a little bit not being talked about as much as it should be.
Yeah.
He's got, he did a little bit disappointing in qualifying. Just about missed out on getting through to Q2.
Yeah, I think it
where
was
his teammate,
unlucky, wasn't it, more than anything? Because he set the same time as Lando, who went through, but he did it second.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it was kind of a quantum qualifying. He missed out on getting into Q2 by 1,000th of a second and 2 minutes, both at the same time. Because if it had been 1,000th of a second faster or 2 minutes sooner, he'd have done it.
Yeah, he seems like he's the real deal, Logan Sargent. Let's just hope it's not one of those cases of beginner's luck. But really looking forward to seeing how he gets on as the season progresses. Because we know how good Alex Albon can be, and to be only a few seconds and 2 places back from your teammate on debut, well, that's a fairly solid showing. That's all right.
I've got a bold statement to make about Alex Albon.
Oh, yes.
I think this is the season that, because the Williams seems like a half decent car, I think Albon's going to outperform that thing for the whole season and put himself properly in the shop window of a top team because I think he has the capability of winning a world championship.
Yeah, that's not a stupid thing to say. Somebody that we've spoken to in the past, let's just say that, who knows a bit about how drivers function, said that the two most impressive drivers on the grid in Formula One last year were Alex Albon and Lando Norris. Not because they were doing incredible things, but what they were doing with the machinery that they had.
Yeah.
I mean, do we have to apologise for everything bad that we've said about Latifi? And maybe that was the level of the car, and Albon was
No, because he
The level
didn't
of the
raise
car is
above
not
that
in the
level.
wall.
Yeah, this is a man that got lost on a track.
Yeah.
But the car might be bad, but the car did not put itself in a wall.
He said
I think the gap was huge as well, wasn't it? To Albon, at least like Sargent got within a second of Albon.
Yeah, it's. I'm looking forward to seeing how Logan Sargent gets on. It's really cool to have an American racing driver in Formula One again as well.
Yeah.
I do feel like his performance and the general Logan Sargent being in Formula One has gone under the radar a little bit.
Well, I think it's probably because the main American in Formula One debate is the whole absolute shower of shit round Andretti.
Yeah, maybe. But then, I think a lot of attention's been put on Oscar Piastri, Nico Hulkenberg's return, Nick De Vries at AlphaTauri.
I think
How's
maybe
Gasly
people
gonna
just
get on
didn't
an
expect
Alpine?
a lot, because it's Williams as well. Nobody expected Williams to build a potential point-scoring car. That Albon, everything Albon did there was, obviously you had Leclerc drop out, so you did have someone retired that was in the points ahead of him, but he was in his position on pace.
Yeah, I mean, he was still ahead of what you would think would be a faster car faster cars that finished. Albon finished ahead of both AlphaTauris. Now, you would have said before at least one of them is good for a points finish, and that didn't happen. He finished ahead of both of them, still running at the end with only 3 retirements. It's not the huge amount of shenanigans we've seen in the past where Williams have come away with points while they've been crap.
No.
So it shows that the car's got something about it. Clearly, Albon's got a lot about him because we've seen what he can do and everything that he's capable of at the right time when he's handled the right way. And that is purely aimed at Helmut Marko, who just treats every other driver that isn't Max like crap.
I don't know if we can put it on Helmut, to be honest. I think that I can't. I don't think Horner would be the most nurturing person if you weren't doing what you were supposed to do.
It strikes me that Horner's got very little to do with the drivers.
But this is the thing. I can't have it that Helmut Marko is bad dealing with young drivers.
Send them all to COVID camp,
which I think was probably the right thing to do now. But the thing is, he's brought more people into Formula One than any other person.
He's also sacked more drivers than any other person.
Yeah,
Have
but
we watched the Checo Perez. Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say he's given us some of the most competitive drivers. Like he might have sacked those drivers, but most of the people that's come through Toro Rosso wouldn't have got into Formula One if it wasn't for Helmut Marko and Toro Rosso. I'd rather be in Formula One and get the chance to prove myself than turn into like another one of those drivers that sits around the paddock, then ends up falling out and finding themselves in sports cars. Don't be wrong, nothing wrong with driving sports cars, but that wasn't what the dream was.
I know what you mean.
That is true.
Everybody all seen the Red Bull Checo Perez episode of Drive to Survive? And yes, I know it's Drive to Survive. It's over dramatized.
Don't know if we have actually.
We haven't actually watched any more since last week.
It's the following episode, I think. I think it's the following episode after the Alpine episode is the Checo Perez.
We are not there yet.
Focus episode. Well, basically, Christian Horner is as ruthless, I would say, as Helmut Marko.
I mean, maybe this is the fact that I'm like, probably a bit of a bastard, but I absolutely loved Christian Horner in this episode. Like I am all here for with the Horners. Like
Every fucking episode does seem to start with Oxfordshire, England. They know exactly where we're going.
the only thing it's missing is like halfway through a race weekend going, meanwhile back at the ranch.
Yeah, they get their own spin-off series, Jerry Shaw.
Oh, that's not
Christ.
bad. At Home with the Horners was a good one, I thought.
The only way is spice. Where do we end up next? Alpine. Right, Tale of Two Halves of the Garage.
So we
Tale of Two Halves, but also split over 2 days because the Saturday was a tale of two halves, and then the Sunday was also a tale of two halves, but the complete reversal of what happened on Saturday.
But the changed ends at half time.
Yes.
Yeah. Saturday for Gasly probably couldn't have gone any worse.
yeah,
Well, it
qualifying
could have
time.
gone a lot worse. But...
Qualifying time was bad anyway, and then he had his best time deleted, so ended up right at the back.
Yeah.
It's a good start.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Ocon, decent qualifying, got into Q3, 9th, showed the car's got a little bit of oomph to it, and looks like he was going to make up for all the struggles that Gasly was going to have trying to fight his way through from the back. And then Sunday. So, 3 penalties in one. I mean, the first penalty was being out of alignment in the grid box, which they seem to be clamping down on because I think we saw quite a few for that in F2 and F3 in both the races. Both of their respective races over the weekend.
I think start procedure generally they were very sharp on in the support races.
Then managed to get the 5-second penalty wrong because somebody started work on removing the nose too soon after he'd been not told but strongly advised to come in with a damaged front wing. So one of the crew started unscrewing it too early, which then led to a 10-second penalty
10-second time penalty
next for not serving the penalty properly, which gave him a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane.
No, the speeding was when he did the first penalty that he cocked up because he ended up serving the 10 and the 5 at the same time.
Oh right, I thought he'd got caught on the second penalty. I'd kind of lost track by then.
Yeah, it was 80.1 kilometers per hour they penalised him for, which
Ooh.
I know it is a case of if you're over, you're over, but that is really nominally over.
Yeah. And it gave us all a chance to notice that Formula One have got a new penalty graphic this season. You know, it flashes in the top of the screen now.
Oh, does it? I did not pick up on that.
Oh, yeah, we had plenty of chance to do it every time Ocon got mentioned.
Well, it clearly made a big impact.
Yeah, the big white and blue penalty
Yeah.
box that appeared at the top of the screen.
Yeah, it's not subtle, is it?
I honestly did not notice that it was any different.
I didn't notice anything.
Okay,
Hit and miss. Mixed
okay,
results
so
for the graphics department.
It may be 50% less subtle than previous.
I wonder as well. I'd like to, while we're talking about things that are part of the broadcast package, I'd like to know from yous, and if anybody else watching, is when the lights are going out at the start of a race, how you got the noises when the red light
kind
goes,
of the
lights
pips.
go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is anybody else irritated the fact that there isn't a final noise when all the lights go out?
Oh, like a big klaxon of some description.
Yeah.
I'd quite like that. I would enjoy a...
I mean, it sounded like the Radio 4 time pips, wouldn't it? It's like 5 short and a long.
Yeah, it just seems weird to have 5 noises and then silence.
I'd never thought of that.
No, I like it. We should petition people for a noise.
I'd never noticed.
I'm not going to lie. That irritated me all last year.
Because who are the pips for? It's surely not for the drivers, because I assume they're not hearing that over their engine.
I wouldn't have thought so. With
Is
helmets
that
on as
for
well.
our benefit?
I think it
Unless-
must be.
In which case, give
uh,
us a klaxon to say go.
Yeah, unless they're like unbelievably loud at the circuit.
Yeah, but again, that doesn't work. If like they're saying, "Oh, we need to do noise because the lads at the back can't see the red lights," they can't tell if you do 5 for each light and then nothing for go. It doesn't
Yeah.
work. It's not an effective system.
Yeah, when you don't hear anything, set up. Yeah. On your marks, get set.
Yeah.
Yeah, that. Yeah, now you put it in those terms. Yeah, that doesn't work.
No. Good. I'm glad we're on the same page.
On the other side of the Alpine garage, though, Gasly 20th to 9th, and damn near 8th as well, because he was pushing Bottas at the end.
Yeah, good
yeah,
recovery.
it was a really good debut for Pierre Gasly in a first race in Formula One. There isn't anything to do with the Red Bull organisation.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing what drivers can do when they get out of the meat grinder, isn't it?
We are seeing this a bit more sort of in recent years, haven't we? Like up until maybe about 5 years ago, you didn't see drivers leave the Red Bull organisation and turn up somewhere else.
No, because you used to see him leaving a body bag.
But yeah, I think Sainz was probably the first, wasn't he? And then obviously Albon has gone to Williams, and
To be
Gasly
fair for
more
Sainz, though,
recently.
Sainz had his name behind him.
Yeah, that might have helped.
Yeah.
Danny Rick, he was through
Danny
the
Rick,
meat
that's true,
grinder and then
yes.
moved on to somewhere else. Can we say Vettel because they poached him from BMW?
Vettel was
Kind
Red Bull's
of.
young driver, though, wasn't
Yeah.
Yeah, I think was he on loan at BMW at that
Oh,
point?
he? I think he might have been.
I think there's a difference, and I think Pierre Gasly falls into this as well. There's a difference between escaping the meat grinder and getting a second chance, like Albon did, or being Pierre or Daniel Ricciardo or Vettel, who were in the Red Bull program, highly regarded, and they didn't escape the meat grinder. They just had other options because they were doing so well.
Yeah.
Well, no. Remember, Pierre Gasly is like Alex Albon in that he was in the car and then in the main team, and then very much not in the main team. And the only seat available for him was the AlphaTauri Toro Rosso seat that was there, and he was never going to go back to Red Bull. So the only option that was, the only option for him was to either stay forever at AlphaTauri or go to another team. And we did say, I think, a couple of years ago, it looked like Gasly might go to Alpine. And he's finally there, and it's working for him.
Yeah. I did say a couple of years ago, Gasly as Alonso's replacement to make an all-French super team.
And that's what's happened.
Yeah. That's 2 predictions I've been right on in the last 2 years. But it does look like he's it won't last. It does look like he's made a good start there. And it'll be interesting to see what they can do with 2 fast working non-cocking up cars.
Probably drive into each other.
Yeah. Oh no, I mean Aston Martin have already got the rights on driving into each other.
Yes, that was close, wasn't it?
That wasn't close. He was using all the track and then some.
If we're talking about Alpine, just very quickly, could we just accept the glorious irony in the actual Alpine road cars launching this month the A110R Fernando Alonso edition?
Oh, that's unfortunate.
It is a little bit, isn't it? Yeah.
Why would you not rebrand it at this point?
There's probably a licensing deal.
There probably is something has been signed and paid for, but
Alonso gets so many, so much money for each car sold.
Free Kimoa hat with every car you buy. You know.
Oh no, the Aston Martin edition of the Kimoa hat is about £50. It's a pricey number.
Shan't be buying that
No.
one. Who was it we saw yesterday with Kimoa
Oh,
shades
it was
on?
someone in IndyCar, and I can't remember who it was now.
Fernando's signed up people in various different
Motorsport disciplines?
Not just motorsport. I think it's all kinds of sports. I think he's
the
signed people
Kamoa
up to,
brand, I think, is expanding into other.
There's Kamoa brand ambassadors, is what
Yes.
I'm trying to say. Yeah, across a varying range of sports. There is a very well-known surfer who is a Kamoa brand ambassador, and he wears more Kamoa than Fernando Alonso. Can't remember his name.
Didn't think that was physically possible. I've always been against the phrase brand ambassadors, and I had a job interview a while ago for a company who had Keith Lemon as their brand ambassador, and I forgot the term and called him spokesmodel.
Spokesmodel.
That's
amazing.
I didn't get the job.
That's incredible. And what a great term. I like that. That's really good.
So, yes, Kamoa have plenty of spokesmodels across a varying amount of athletic disciplines. Right. Mercedes, fourth best team.
Well, hard to tell. Third or fourth.
3A.
Yeah.
The car doesn't bounce up and down anymore.
It's a bonus.
Yeah. It doesn't challenge for wins anymore.
I found it whelming, the Mercedes experience.
Neither over nor under.
Yeah, I don't think they were disappointing, but they weren't impressive either.
2022, the continuation of.
I think they're fucked. Like, I really think this is like proper dark days for Mercedes.
Well, you've seen what Toto Wolff said on Saturday.
Yeah, no, he's not impressed with the car, is he?
We've all seen what Toto Wolff has said. Do we need to just discuss it very quickly? He said, "No, this is clearly we've fucked up." Mercedes is the other team alongside McLaren who went, sorry guys, got this wrong. We're gonna look at doing something different. We already were looking at doing it, and we're gonna have to now because this is not going to be good enough to win races.
No.
Yeah, I mean, Lewis has come out and said it's the wrong car. Oh, sorry, this is not the right car.
Bold prediction: 2026 is the next rule change. Mercedes don't challenge for a world championship until after that.
Given how long it took the last rules to come in, yes, that is a bold prediction.
That
That
does feel
2026 is going to be the
very
next rule change.
Yeah.
Remember what we used to say when 2021 happens in 2022?
Yeah, and then it did.
Yeah, and we said that in 2019. It really looks like, they've gone all in on the zero pod aero philosophy, and it's blatantly not working.
There was something brought up on the race podcast that I thought was really interesting. That Morris Hamilton brought up, where he said the worrying thing is that Toto Wolff said that they need to look at a new aero philosophy, but the numbers don't lie, and all the numbers they have tell them that the way their direction should give them a benefit above the other teams, and that they've tried the other avenues, and it hasn't worked for them. So, but the way he looked at that was, so you can't say the other philosophies aren't working, because it's working for Red Bull and it's working for Ferrari. So that means they don't understand those concepts as well as the other teams do.
And the other teams have now got a year of honing it.
Yeah, I mean,
the other. Sorry, just quickly too, 'cause it's on the same thing. The Aston Martin are using Mercedes wind tunnel until theirs is online. So using Mercedes stuff, Aston Martin has built a better car.
Yeah, that's not ideal for Mercedes.
that really shouldn't be a thing under any circumstances. The customer team doing better than the factory team.
And by like a measure, it's not like the customer team is up there annoying the factory team. It's a measure better.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what was it? Limerick City Community Radio had a very interesting Formula One pundit on their season preview show on Saturday morning. Who
Would we go as far as very interesting?
I thought it was.
If I was to put a guess out, would I guess that this person might also be on this podcast?
Yeah, it would have been two of us, but somebody forgot he had to take his son to jiu-jitsu.
Look, I'm trying to make my son a killer. It's not my fault.
Incidentally, when that message came up on Facebook only showed as far as jiu-jitsu, so I missed the bit about with the son. I was like, Lee does jiu-jitsu. Since when's that happened?
I would love to do jiu-jitsu, but I cannot afford to turn my child into assassin and myself.
No, if you've got a child assassin, why would you do it yourself? I mean,
Exactly. Yeah.
But no, what I was saying, and hi Danny, and thanks for having us on the show last week. When Mercedes came out with the zero side pod concept at the Bahrain test after the Barcelona shakedown last year, and no other team actually followed them a few races later, that's when you knew that it wasn't going to work, because somebody comes up with the slightest innovation that's out of the ordinary, and all the other teams will be analysing the data as soon as they can, and every man and his dog will be copying them within about 2 to 3 races. Remember when when Tyrrell we're going back into the 90s now, Tyrrell debuted the high nose, all of a sudden every other team's using a high nose. Yeah. Then the X-Wings, when that was a thing, every other team started bringing them in for the high downforce circuits. But when McLaren brought out that third little winglet that sat on top of the airbox, so just in the position behind where the T camera is.
Yep.
It was
monkey seat.
Well, no, it was an actual miniature wing.
Sorry, yeah, I know you're on.
Yeah, no, it was crap, and no other team used it, but McLaren stuck with it, and it was terrible.
Yeah, I just can't see the easy way out for them without more pain. I'm don't get me wrong. I mean, they're obviously a class racing team, most successful racing team of all time. Please don't come at me, internet. I can't be bothered with it. But whenever you see teams like this, and they get it wrong, and the other teams get it really right, it takes essentially the majority of that formula of Formula One to get it sorted out. And
that's exactly what happened to Red Bull last time around.
Yeah, it took them until, what was it, 2013 was their last title win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it took them the entirety of the last age.
Yeah, of the turbo hybrid era, Generation 1.
I still stand by that. It looks like Mercedes rested through the whole of the last iteration of Formula One, and the fact that they cracked the turbo hybrid engine, because even back then, even when Lewis was romping away with championships, the only time that a team would really interrupt it would when Red Bull would really interrupt it. We always kind of knew that the Renault engine that was in the Red Bull was crap, but they probably had the best car. And even when they were trying to get Mercedes engines, the F1 pundits were saying, well, why would Mercedes want to give them engines where if you stick a Mercedes engine in that car, it'll probably beat a Mercedes?
Yeah, I mean, I think at one point that was one of the reasons Renault quit, wasn't it? Because Red Bull were beating them with their own engine.
So I just think maybe they've been behind on the aero. I mean, not miles behind, obviously. You can't have a good engine and crap aero and win all the world championships they did. But I don't think that maybe they've been quite as on board with the other teams, and maybe because they haven't had the advantage of the aero, those teams have had to work more on aero, more on trying to claw downforce back while reducing drag to make up for the fact that Mercedes just had this rocket ship strapped to the back of the car.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of us, because they were so successful all the way through that era, we didn't actually see any potential failings because they were winning everything. So how can they be getting anything wrong? Because they didn't
have to have the best aero and all that lot because the rest of it was fine.
Yeah, so add it up as an aggregate, they had the fastest package on the grid.
I think I was right last week when I said it's the reverse McLaren situation. You know, with McLaren, you couldn't tell how bad the McLaren car was because the Honda engine was so bad.
Yeah.
And then they stuck a new engine in the car, and it was, oh my god, this is awful too. It's kind of that situation, but not quite as extreme.
Mm.
I wouldn't have said it was desperately awful when they put the Renault engine in, just not as shit.
It didn't fix all of life's problems, though, did it?
No.
Which is what we were told was the issue.
Because don't forget, like the first Renault engined McLaren wasn't like Lando and Carlos; it was Alonso, wasn't it? And it was still
Didn't it keep cooking itself?
Yeah, this isn't like going for wins at all.
Yeah, going for chips. Right, Ferrari next. The other binary finish. So Leclerc, we'll go back to Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
Because Ferrari, I mean, as I tweeted, did anyone have lap 1 of Q1 for the first Ferrari disaster? Bits falling off both cars. Great start.
That happened in testing as well, didn't it?
It was mainly McLaren it happened with in testing because they were out with tape and angle grinders.
Mm.
Yeah, that was to do with their wheel covers, wasn't it?
It was
with the wheel brows.
Yeah, it was with Ferrari as well. It was the bottom half of.
I didn't spot that.
Yeah, it was the bottom half of Leclerc's front right. Didn't see what bit fell off sights, but both of them went. That cost them a set of tyres. So they were playing catch up on tyres from Q1 onwards.
That's what the red flag was for, wasn't it? For cleanup.
Yeah, because there was carbon fibre in 2 separate places on the track. So that cat just farted at you.
Yes, the cat has farted at me. It's very strong. Very strong fragrance.
That was Bruno for any of the cat spotters. Then we get to the end. Then we get to the end of Q3, and Leclerc doesn't go out for his second run. Gets out of the car, and apparently they were saving the tyres, which at the time thought, yeah, okay, the one set down, that kind of makes sense. Then by the time the car gets to the grid on Sunday, they've changed the energy store and the control electronics in Leclerc's car. And both of those parts you can only have 2 of per season.
And one of them failed.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they've got both sets used before they even start the first race of the year.
Yeah.
Great.
Those are meant to last 11
10 plus races.
11 or 12 races. And they've lasted practice and qualifying. So, money's on Ferrari for the first team to get engine penalties.
Mm-hmm.
Was there not an issue as well on the grid where they sort of suddenly decided, we'd better actually check the floor on Leclerc's car since it shat some parts out yesterday?
They had most of the front end off, and they were checking the axle as well as the floor. And that was only with about 10 minutes to go before the grid cleared.
I know there'll have been a Parc Fermé situation, but it does feel like something they might have wanted to get on with before then.
So it just seemed like Ferrari were hamstrung before they'd even started. And then, of course...
Well, they are. They're Ferrari.
Well, yeah. And, I'm sorry to all the Ferrari fans for bringing this up. It must be hell for you being a Ferrari fan. They went and DNF'd from a decent point scoring position again with Leclerc. And... Left Sainz hanging on with dead tyres and lost a podium.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they kind of resigned themselves to 3rd and 4th behind Red Bull before the failure, didn't they?
Yeah.
So I don't know why they didn't turn things down if they thought there might have been an issue with any part of the power unit. Just knock that down a little bit because we don't think we're under threat. Turns out they were under threat from a certain Spaniard in a green car. But yeah, I know Fred Vasseur's in charge now at Ferrari, but the culture isn't changing just yet, is it? Ferrari.
He's going to get
Ferrari.
a little bit more time, though. I think.
Oh yeah, no.
Hmm.
Fred Vasseur isn't to blame here at all whatsoever. He's only been there since like January.
Yeah, middle of
Um,
January
and
as
we're
well,
only-
I think.
Yeah, and we're only just in the middle of March. Like not even really in the middle of March. We're still early March. So
I mean, this is the first time I can actually remember Ferrari bringing a new team principal in from the same role in another team, because it's usually been promoted from within.
yes,
I think
absolutely. Yeah.
they've obviously seen that the evidence shows that that's maybe not a successful route for them.
Doing something more than once and expecting different results.
Wouldn't it be
is
incredible if they didn't know? And it's just like at some point, someone turns and said, "What? We already employ all these people. Like we're employing new people because we're terrible."
Well, also, don't forget Fred Vasseur's doing his first race, so he's going to be keeping an eye on how things work. And like when they make the Ferraris, then that's when Fred's going to be like, "What did you do that for? Like, what? Why is this? Well, where's the process that links A to B here? Because you just made a decision on the fly, and now we don't have any cars in the race." So it's going to take him a while to get that organization as organized as he made Alfa Romeo Sauber, and as organized as Renault were when he was at Renault. Because don't forget, when he was at Renault, he was at Renault when they transitioned from being Lotus, who won races, to Renault, who were still fairly competitive, and then he left. So, you know.
He's also, as well, I think, very involved with ART, isn't he? Which is one of the sort of sharp end of the field F2, F3 teams.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he is. He is one of the major bosses of that. I mean, look at the talent that they put through.
Mm-hmm.
George Russell being
Yeah.
in one. Just trying to think who else. Who else? had
Charles
passed
Leclerc.
recently.
She wasn't.
No, it was.
Leclerc,
It was Prima.
Teo
is it?
Pourchaire is in an ART this year, who's probably going to win the F2 title.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all him as well.
Yeah. Oh, but now that Ralph Boschung's got his first win after 96 starts.
I think you were going to say 96 years.
Well, it feels like it. Ralph Boschung and Charles Leclerc started in F2 at exactly the same time. Ralph Boschung is still in F2 and has finally won his first race.
Well, don't forget that Roberto Meri went to Formula One and then, after some years away from Formula One, reappeared in F2.
Yes, he did. He did some F2 last year when Ralph Boschung had a neck injury.
Roman Grosjean had 2 stints in F2 with the Formula One run in between.
Yes, that was all because of Nelson Piquet.
Yes. And then last night in IndyCar ended up in a pile of tyres.
Yes.
He was put there. He didn't put himself there.
No, he did not.
No. No. Scott McLaughlin did a very, actually, Rosberg-esque move on him.
I don't think it was deliberate, to be fair, from McLaughlin. He just came out of the pits on cold tyres and
then
there was a Grosjean.
a wild Grosjean appeared. Gotta bin them all. But yeah,
But he's also driving Lamborghini, isn't he, in European GT this year?
apparently yes.
Oh,
Yeah, so when he bins the Lamborghini,
that'll be
he'll
expensive.
have a full Pokemon set.
So is it going to be another long year for Ferrari?
Yes.
The evidence suggests yes.
Yeah, I mean,
It's going to be a long year for everyone.
Is it going to be even? Is it going to feel longer for Ferrari?
I think it will do when we get to another track where people understand the cars more, and Ferrari realise that Aston Martin are quicker than them.
What say you mean when we get to I don't know,
The next race.
Imola, and Ferrari
Yeah,
don't understand the car in front of grandstands full of rabid Italian fans?
Yeah, I mean that was the. I would have been interesting if Charles Leclerc hadn't gone out, whether Alonso could have done something about Charles Leclerc as well, because he caught Sainz at a rapid rate of knots.
To be honest, with the way that Ferrari go, it wouldn't surprise me if Leclerc was still running. If he passed Sainz, Leclerc was in third, and that's when Ferrari told him to turn it down.
Yeah.
I also don't understand everybody doing the same strategy of like soft, hard, hard. The only ones I think of who didn't were Kevin Magnussen, the aforementioned Kevin Magnussen, and the Red Bulls who went soft, soft, hard.
I think this is the
Sonoda did soft, hard, hard, soft.
Yeah, but he 3-stopped. That's a slight anomaly anyway.
I think this is another one of the awkward things about having a test the week before too, is that they all kind of know what the optimal strategy is. You know, there was no gambles being taken because they just knew that was tire wise the quickest way around that circuit for that amount of laps.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the testing that I saw, they appeared to be running on C5s, which weren't one of the compounds this weekend.
Yeah, they still get the data, don't they? They still know how the cars are gonna like chew through them.
Yeah, we didn't see too much running on the C1s and C2s in testing, which were the hard and mediums this week. It's going to get really confusing when they start bringing the C0s in.
Yes.
I to be perfectly honest, I pay no attention to it, and I wait for the race, and it's hard, medium, soft.
Yeah.
You can wreck your life thinking about tires in Formula One.
Mm. Oh, actually, Lando's tyre history: soft, hard, soft, medium, hard, soft, soft.
Yeah. Did he do 6 stops in the entire race?
Yes.
I think he did do
he
one or
did,
two,
yeah.
maybe where he didn't do tyres.
It was pneumatic.
Yes.
Because his air kept disappearing, so he kept having to get topped up. It would have been interesting to see where. I know we already spoke about McLaren way back when, but I mean, without 6 pit stops,
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I mean,
every single one that was like 10 seconds at least.
And that was 6 stops for tyres as well as air.
Yeah. It's really weird we talk about this because my strategy for Alonso's whole weekend was hard, soft, hard again.
That's you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did mention something about you rushing out to buy British Racing Green wrist support. It's Aston Martin time now. Talking of wrist support, so as it turns out, Lance Stroll had got a broken wrist. He needed surgery on the other and a broken toe.
Yeah, so both his wrists are broken. He's had surgery on one to put pins in, and he's broken his toe.
Right, Lance Stroll not covered himself in glory in Formula One thus far, and he tried to not cover himself in glory at the beginning of this race either. But I feel really fucking sorry for him because like what he did this weekend was really impressive. Like to qualify within half a second of Fernando Alonso, to do a pretty good race and come home with points with the injuries he had. Any other driver on the grid that did that, people would have been going, "Oh my god, that's incredible!" To come back from that injury and do this. Oh, that's incredible. Lance Stroll does it. You've got a lot of people on you going, "This is dangerous. Look at it, it's dangerous."
Well, watching him struggling getting out of the car was it FP1?
Yeah, I think it was on the Friday. I think he said he was still sort of struggling to walk a bit with his toe, and he was a bit sort of flappy.
I get it.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong, I get it, but I still don't think you would have had the same like complaints if, say, it had been like Lewis Hamilton or Lando Norris that had these issues.
Yeah, but I mean, you go back to the 80s and look at the state Nigel Mansell used to get himself in during the race. You know, he'd get out of the car with a broken toe and 2 broken wrists, and that was just from the first 3 corners.
Absolutely, he had to jump off the pit wall, didn't he, with a broken leg to prove that he was fit to drive?
That was Schumacher.
Yeah. Before after his British Grand Prix broken leg.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth keeping in mind as well. They all have to do the extraction test, don't they, before they
Yeah, of course.
go
Yeah,
out to
and
race. So he
Lance
must have
Stroll
done
passed
that.
It, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you know.
How much morphine was he on at the time?
He floated out of that car.
Let's put it this way: he's not going to be peeing in a cup for a long time.
No, he's rich. He can pay someone to pee in a cup for him.
Yeah, he's probably got. Yeah, he's got a pee guy.
Somebody get my piss boy, please. Piss boy.
But yeah,
Did someone call for Nico Rosberg?
Oh. So Aston Martin, right? If I sound like I've got my mouth full, it's because I'm eating humble pie here. Appears to have made a good car, and Fernando Alonso appears to have made a good career move.
That's
I know
the
what
biggest
happened.
surprise.
What
Yeah.
I know
is
what's
happening?
happened.
I
know. I've
it's the
solved
end
it.
of
I've
days?
solved what happened. No.
Here we go.
I've solved it. What
I have a
had to
theory. I
happen-
wonder if we have the same theory.
I think we might have the same theory. What had to happen was that Fernando Alonso had to leave a team at the same time as another driver. So he had to, when he left the team at the same time as another driver,
Yeah.
not just the only driver to leave, the luck transferred to the other driver. And now Piastri's made the decision to go to McLaren.
And what we've
And
seen so far, this
Piastri's-
sounds good. Yes.
Piastri has now got the luck. He is now
Yes.
Alonso. And Alonso is now free from the shackles of 2007 McLaren.
I like it. I like
Yeah.
it. But
So-
For anyone,
I-
for anyone that's watched How I Met Your Mother, Alonso is the Blitz.
I have a second theory that I'm prepared to put forward to be peer reviewed.
Alternate theory. Go on.
Alonso leaves Ferrari, and things don't go well. But Vettel goes to Ferrari, and things continue to go well. Therefore, meaning in Ferrari, Vettel had worse luck than Alonso because the car never came to him, and
Yes.
essentially we then see the rest of his career. Vettel leaves Aston Martin, and Alonso joins. But it has to be a good move for Alonso because Vettel has worse luck. So Vettel's
Interesting.
bad luck trumped Alonso bad luck, turning his bad luck into good fortune.
I see. I think they're both good theories. I think we need to see more evidence on the Piastri side of things before we can
Yeah,
draw
of
any
course, yeah.
true conclusions.
Yeah.
But
And
I like them both.
And I'm still trying to work out if Lee's theory is based on Magic the Gathering.
Well, let's face it. The Al Plan at this point, if you want to keep up with Al Plan, you're on 4chan on the board over from QAnon. You know, it's like Al Plan is convoluted now.
But yeah, that car is rapid.
It
I think
is,
it's
yeah.
I think it's the second quickest car on the grid.
It'd be interesting to see what Lance Stroll can do when he's not injured.
Yeah, give him a couple of weeks. He'll be hopefully slightly less in pain.
Yeah, if he can keep it out of the wall and use the mirrors.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, somebody.
lap pace as well.
Yeah,
they need
stick
to
to-
sort their
Stick to
their
the indoor
qualified
bike.
pace out.
Indoor bike only, maybe, for the rest of the year.
Oh, there was somebody on Discord on our Discord chat convinced that he actually fell off his Peloton.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mainly because he's possibly the only person that can afford a Peloton. You say how much they cost.
But at least it's not just them. Maybe he's the only one that can afford to buy one and pay for the subscription.
Oh,
Yeah, that's true.
that'll be it. That'll be it. If you don't pay the subscription, does it lock up on you and you can't use it?
Probably.
Maybe that's what happened. That's what happened.
Breaks
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
But no, he that was his best race in Formula One. As David Coulthard said on F1 TV's commentary at the end of the race, said he should break himself more often.
I mean, don't forget, this is somebody that has got a podium.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
A podium or two podiums?
Two podiums, isn't it? One
True.
one in Baku and one at Monza.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
Wait, did he get a
it's-
podium at Monza or did he just qualify really well?
Was he on the podium when Gasly was on the podium?
I think he
When-
may
when
have been. I
Gasly
think he's
won.
got two podiums.
I'm just
I
gonna.
think he's definitely.
Yeah, I'm just gonna double check this.
Yeah, 'cause
I think he's had a podium in his Racing Point.
he's had
times.
he's had three.
three. When the fuck did he get the
Three.
other one?
Jesus. I'm so sorry, Canada.
Yeah, all right, Lance.
yeah, he got
Three
one. He got one
podiums.
at the Squoval.
Of course, the Squoval.
He
I missed
retired.
the Squoval.
He retired upside down the week before, and then got third at the Squoval.
Mixed results then.
So the week before, he broke himself and then got third. Coulthard, you are onto something here.
Yeah, but I was totally impressed by Lance this weekend.
Oh, he put in a damn good shift, and if he can get nearly as much out of the car as Alonso does, then we could be looking at Aston Martin pushing for second in the constructors, especially if Ferrari do Ferrari.
I think it's going to be interesting to see, because what we still don't know what the pace of the Aston Martin is. Like in the race sims in practice, I think it was like Alonso was only like 0.2 off Max's race sims in practice. So we like he dropped down in the beginning of the race. Essentially had to fight his way back. Got clouted by his teammate. I saw an interview with him the other day, today, saying that he was a bit confused by when they brought the car in because the tires were still good, and he said, I think I still had another 3 to 4 laps to push and use all the tires up that I had, which would have left me even fresher tires at the end. So that's why I think there's even going back into the pack and racing the Mercedes to get through, which he was like clearly faster than. I still think he had the pace to get the both Ferraris had Charles Leclerc not gone out. And it just depends like what's the race pace compared to the Red Bulls, and that's what we don't know. That's going to be the most interesting thing for me in the next race. I think Alonso will win a race this year in that car.
Yeah, it's looking likely, isn't it?
I can definitely see it happening.
Yeah, Hungary, something like that.
Maybe
Yeah, like,
no. I think like more than one race. I think Bahrain is a fairly well-rounded circuit. It's why they use it for testing now. I think the only thing that, as Anthony Davidson said during the test, the only thing that's missing really is like a high-speed turns, like your Maggotts, Beckett's sort of thing. There's nothing like that at Bahrain. But you get to like a circuit-dependent circuit for your cars. And and your car leans heavily towards sort of Aston Martin, and it will happen where a car leans heavily. I can totally see on pure pace Alonso or Stroll picking up a victory somewhere. I'm trying to think now, like the circuit that might happen at. At the moment, in these opening parts of the season, as is quite often the case in the opening part of the season, Red Bull are literally in their own formula.
Yeah,
they're a class of their own. They don't even need to try hard, and they just they win the race. That tends not to last too long. It tends to tighten up a little bit as the season goes on. So somewhere from mid-season onwards, absolutely can see Aston Martin winning a race if they continue this development.
God, we could actually we could see an Alonso win in Spain and a Stroll win in Canada.
Well, do you know what? Thinking about Spain there, I mean, like if there's anywhere where Alonso's going to find something else that car hasn't got, it's the going back to Spain with a competitive car for Alonso is going to be pretty mega, isn't it?
And don't forget, Spain's now going to be a lot quicker because they've got rid of that last chicane.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a great season for him. I hope he can win some races. I hope it's close. I'm not willing to say that car can't challenge Red Bull yet. It's under more equal circumstances when they know the cars. That's the thing to think about as well with the Alonso and the Aston Martin. He's had He's now had 5 days driving that car, essentially, hasn't he? Is that 5? I don't know, 6 days.
Yeah.
3 days testing, 3 days, 3 days over a race weekend. he's obviously still getting to grips with that. He said in the interviews during testing that he personally missed having Lance Stroll in the team because he could feel things in the car. He said, but I don't know whether that's me comparing it to the last car I drove or whether that's just general handling characteristics of an Aston Martin. He said, I don't know because I've never driven one before.
Yeah, because the only comparison he would have had was Drugovich, who got 2 hours at the end of the season last year.
Yeah. So,
did anyone see what Perez said in the post-race press conference?
I did,
No.
Mr. Flood.
I didn't because we switched over and put the IndyCar on.
Right. Anything after I was asked the questions, he said, the guy doing the interview said, anything to add, Checo? And he said, yeah, it's nice to see 3 Red Bull cars on the podium.
Ooh, whoa. So talking of the other 2 Red Bull cars on the podium, that was Red Bull circa sort of 10 to 13 years ago.
I mean, it was briefly
get in, drive off, boom.
It was briefly interesting for Perez, wasn't it? Because he lost second and had to come back.
But then once that happened,
Yeah, not so much with Verstappen. It really was a case of and there he goes.
Yeah, it was Vettel sort of 2011 kind of drive, really, wasn't it? For those of us who remember what happened in 2011, Vettel just he's gone.
Perez had really no answer for it as well because Max backed off really early, and he was still 20 odd seconds ahead. I think it's at some point, he could have, if he hadn't backed off when he did, he could have easily been 30 seconds ahead of Perez. Plus,
no, I think Perez was told. I think Perez was told to just hold station and don't change the gap as well. You're not in danger from anything behind at the moment,
and you're not in danger of winning anytime soon.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there's 2 Red Bulls in this race. You ain't the one that's winning. I mean, what can we say about Red Bull that we didn't sort of say last year, effectively? Because it's just
They're further ahead.
Yeah, I really hope they're not, and I really hope this was a flash in the pan.
I don't know if they're further ahead or the other teams have the only team really that's properly done a job is Aston Martin and Williams, that have really, really moved forward from where they were.
Yeah, obviously Williams are not going to quite be at the point where they are able to challenge for podiums and wins or anything, but
no, but they've come from where they were last year.
Yeah,
they've moved right forward, and whereas Mercedes look like they've dropped back a little bit.
I'd say they're probably exactly the same place that they were.
Yeah.
Mercedes only looked better results-wise this time last year because Red Bull had the double DNF.
Yep,
yeah,
correct. Yeah.
Ferrari are kind of in the same boat as Mercedes. Then they're in the same place as they were last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
the Aston Martin seems to have jumped both of them.
Yeah.
Or
Ferrari aren't in the same boat as anyone. They're in a sieve.
Yeah. So that's the thing. I don't know whether Red Bull have done an incredible job, or just nobody else around them has found time.
Going back to what we were saying about Mercedes, and they just sort of cruised it through all the wins and then didn't concentrate on anything. Are we just going to see Red Bull dominate until 2026? And it's like, oh shit, hang on, we should have maybe worried about what happens next.
No, I think if it depends what Aston Martin do this year. I know it's only one race, and they've put themselves in the window. But if they can do this, and all the hires they've been making, and the money that's been put into that team, if they can do this, and they haven't actually got their facilities online yet, which will be online to help towards next year's car, I see them more of a threat than Mercedes right now, because Mercedes have spent a whole year last year lost at sea. They've come to the first race this weekend with literally no oars, and they've just jumped back in the same boat.
Well, no, I think they've. This is the thing. I think their car's better than last year's car. It's just that comparatively, everybody else has moved at exactly the same speed, so they're not any further up the road than they thought they would be, and now it's caused them to say, you know what? Eventually, this we've got it wrong. This package is not going to be competitive enough to win races. We had to try something different. We did, and now's the time to admit it probably doesn't work. So it'd be interesting to see, because Mercedes will come out with a B-spec car at some point this year, a proper B-spec. Whether that's going to be, Spain,
I don't think they will.
or whether it's going to be mid-season. No, they've already kind of said that's how they.
No, but
They've
said they might abandon the thing, but they can't. I don't think teams can go out and make B-spec cars now unless they plan to do it in the early pre-season, because they don't have
McLaren are doing it.
Yeah, but they plan to do it. Yeah,
very late on in the winter, apparently, just before the launch.
But now, I think they were using their their money allocation in that time to do it. Now that Mercedes have got here, they're still operating under the budget cap.
Everyone's operating under the budget cap.
Yeah, but if they've continued developing into this concept, and now they've got to make a change, they're making a change on top of what they've already done. Whereas McLaren have cut it off at some point during development and through the winter.
I mean, Mercedes have basically said this morning they're going to have to change the design concept with immediate effect.
Yeah,
so
but does that?
But they've been working on that already. They basically went down two routes and then decided to go. Last year, they went down two different roads and decided to continue with the one that they were on. But now they've decided they're going to have to go back to the other path. So it's not an untrodden path for them. But yes, they will be probably initially quite far behind, even with the development of the new path that they go down. They could find themselves just as a midfield team.
Yeah,
because I mean they started developing the alternative last year, because I'm trying to remember, was it Hungary? Toto said they had to make a decision by whether they were going to keep on this one or go back to something more conventional.
Yeah, something like that. But
was last year as well essentially kind of forced by the porpoising issue in that they had to get rid of that?
There was that. I think that made it worse, and they got the porpoising fixed late-ish on in the season.
Mm-hmm.
But I think
because that's kind of why, if I remember rightly, that's why they said they were going back to the original one, because they thought, oh well, we know what was causing this porpoising issue now, so we can go back to the original concept without, battering the driver's spine.
Yeah, which apparently isn't going to be an issue this year, just because of the
because they're not going fast enough.
15 mil higher on the floor.
So taking two steps backwards, basically, to go another 2 steps backwards.
Taking 2 steps backward to go an unknown number of steps in an unknown direction.
Yeah.
What's the odds that they break the budget cap this year?
Who, Mercedes?
Yeah.
Oh, I think it'll be well catered for.
Hey.
Well, I think that's getting dangerous now. But I think a precedent might have been set by what happened with Red Bull. So if Mercedes go over, they'll be like, "Well, yeah, and what did you do to Red Bull last year?"
Exactly. That's what I mean. And if anything, if anything else comes out of it, let's say they do get a ban or something like that, you're going to get all sorts of court cases. In that, like, you didn't do this to them, why are you doing it to us?
Yeah.
Once again, the FIA managed to make things utterly shit. And you know how this nasty habit that everyone always seems to have of thinking of the right joke at just the wrong time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've just thought about the comeback for Checo's comment.
What was the go on there?
Well, Aston Martin were to expect it, Red Bull give you wings.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
Rock stars and wankers. Moving on. What have I got?
Everyone knows who the rock star of this race was.
There are
And it was
Yeah.
my guy. It was Fernando.
there are more than one rock star.
Yeah, I think
No.
we'd probably throw Stroll into the mix as well.
I
with
think
his-
Yeah.
with
I think
his
I think
wrists.
I just think I'd throw Aston Martin in as a whole.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think you're right.
Williams
Yeah.
yeah.
again, two great performances and a much better car than last year. It's everyone in that team's sort of shined. Let me just check.
Shined.
Sean,
Sean is probably
Yeah.
more correct.
Yeah. Brightonified.
That'll do.
Yeah. Gasly for making up 11 places and getting into the points without much safety car help.
I'd go with that.
Yeah, that's from our mate Wings Triumphant on Discord, who always does rock stars and wankers. He said Stroll's getting neither award for this. He was a rock star for a solid race and good result despite such a painful injury, but also a wanker for nearly punting Alonso and costing him his soon-to-be podium. So in the end, they cancel each other out.
Disagree. Racing incident.
Yeah, I agree. Alonso left the door open. Alonso was defending from a car that wasn't there because he thought, I think, did he think one of the Alpines? Not Alpine.
No, he was going against Hamilton, was it? The Mercedes?
Yeah, I think it would have
Yeah,
No,
and
he said in the interview he thought there was a AlphaTauri. I think it was. He thought the AlphaTauri was alongside him, but it wasn't. So that's why he took a really, really wide line into that corner and left the door open.
He had trouble with that corner because he went wide and he was battling with Hamilton later on in the race. Same corner.
Yeah.
Wankers, McLaren. Just for the car.
Ferrari
Yeah.
generally.
It's hard to call them wankers at the first race of the season. I don't like
It's
calling
not.
people wankers.
It is not
It's
hard.
no, but it's not. I do feel bad calling people wankers at the first race of the season. I mean, nobody did anything. Nobody was just. Nobody was a dickhead, were they?
Gunter Steiner's Rockstar and Wanker comment was at the first race of the season.
There is a
Yeah,
precedent.
it was.
AlphaTauri strategists for not bringing De Vries in.
Yeah.
The Alpine pit crew.
That,
For
yes,
undoing
yes.
Esteban Ocon's fasteners on his front wing.
Yes.
Around about 2.5 seconds early.
Yeah. Right. You know
because
that maybe they get 5 seconds worth of pips, just like the start pips.
Oh, they misheard the final
Yeah.
pip.
And then they're due to, if it's a 5-second penalty, they're then due to start work on the car when they don't hear anything.
This is adding further evidence to the need for the grand pip at the end.
I'm gonna. I know we already said the whole Aston Martin team for what they did, but I want to stick an honourable mention for the pit crew in as well because they operated well. You know, even though under like more pressure than they used to being under. Yeah.
Talking of pit crews, I saw, or I got sent, so thanks to Steve Terra for sending us this one. It was an advert for a software developer for Haas, and part of the job spec, even though you're a software developer, is being on the pit crew.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it may involve world travel and repetitive lifting and twisting work. At least I hope that's being I hope that's being on the pit crew. If not, I really don't want to work for Haas.
One thing I didn't realize about until we saw a certain camera angle from I think it was an Alfa Romeo pit stop was the spare rear jackman. Which imagine being that guy on the pit crew, spare rear jackman. Like you're not the jackman because
You're there just in case.
you got to be ready just in case the jack fails.
I mean,
or the jackman.
Spare rear Jackman actually sounds like he could be the porn star in the adult remake of The Wolverine.
Yes, it does.
And I'm amazed I got to that one before Lee did.
No, I can see it.
Surely-
coming. I was
surely
excited
the-
about it.
Surely the comedy porn star version of the Wolverine would be huge jackman.
Maybe he needs a spare.
So maybe
Um,
stunt double spare rear jackman.
how about the Giovinazzi Participation Award?
Is it Haas?
Do you know what? Yeah, I'd go with that.
Yeah, it might be. Might be because they looked pretty good and then just didn't.
That's why I think they might not have got the participation award, because Hulkenberg had some qualifying heroics.
Yeah.
Should we just go K-Mag then?
Do you know I'd go McLaren?
The thing is, they were noticeable. K-Mag
in their absence.
for the wrong reasons. That's the thing. I mean, they were noticeable enough to make themselves wankers.
Oh,
I mean, right. Again, this is going back to what Wings Triumphant has said on sent in Discord. He's actually gone for K-Mag. Completely disappeared from the grid as far as I was concerned. We got to see De Vries being mad, Sonoda being mad, Hulk having damage, Lando suffering, but Magnussen was just quietly mediocre to a quietly mediocre result.
Yeah, I couldn't really tell you anything
that's
about
fair.
his race, and yet I know he was there.
He
It is the
participated.
definition of participating.
That's the participation award for K-Mag as far as I'm concerned.
how do you think Lando's going to handle a year if the McLaren, let's say they get to Baku when their upgrades there, and they're still mixing it with like the back of the midfield, because he's been pretty faithful with McLaren. He signed that big contract with them and stuff like that, but I really feel that this might be the undoing of the goodwill towards McLaren.
Don't forget, he's a regular Call of Duty streamer as well, so he can take his frustrations out on that. It's just that his Twitch channel may become not safe for work.
Yeah, but hasn't he already punched a wall?
Yeah.
Yes, in testing.
Yeah, because he didn't have his gaming PC with him.
Yeah, there's a lot of races this year. He's going to be away from the gaming PC quite a bit.
Yeah. So
I think the war might have been in place of like Zach Brown.
yeah. So Lee, I mean, obviously you work in the sort of ancillary to building trade, so you'll know plasterers. Tell them to get onto McLaren, because I think we'll need to take a spare one with them.
To be perfectly honest, they needed one when we were there. There was some of the decorating. You wouldn't think it, but some of the decorating in the McLaren Technology Centre was rough.
Yeah, I'm looking at all these classic F1 cars, and you're looking at the paint jobs and not on the cars.
I was just surprised. It was one of those things where I was walking around the place. Well, Ron definitely has gone, hasn't he?
Do we have any news, bearing in mind it's only Monday, so it's probably all going to happen tomorrow at time of recording? Because
No.
I don't think we actually do. Everyone's managed to get through the first Grand Prix weekend of the year without getting fired.
Good start.
Makes a change. So we'll be back next
I
week.
don't know. Has anyone heard from Esteban Ocon yet?
Again, I think whatever he's got to say will not be safe for work.
Yeah, at least one of them is the issues is not on him, though, is it? I mean, the pit crew touching the car too soon that's not a him problem.
Yeah, so we'll find out next week if Alpine have installed pips. So yeah, we'll be back next week. We've got a preview of Saudi Arabia. Don't forget the prediction competition is open, and our F1 Fantasy League as well. We've got 90 teams in that. Let's see if we can get over 100 before the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Just a shout out to Original Chris Racing for leading the Fantasy League, and friend of the podcast Travis Dorado for leading the predictions with 38 points this week. And
Impressive. Wait, I was thinking, did we get a 9-pointer from Sean on the three?
It
top
was not
three?
me.
it wasn't Sean. It was me.
Was it you, Paul?
It was
It
me.
was you.
Yes. Our own in-podcast prediction league. I'll do the scores. I wasn't going to do it because I was going to be accused of blowing me on trumpet. And
I got none. Well, no, actually, I got Verstappen. But then there's no
you got four.
prizes.
You got 4 points.
Yeah.
I got 9 with a full top 3. Sean had Verstappen, Leclerc, and Alonso, so that's a 6-pointer. Chris, you had Verstappen, Alonso, and Stroll, so you got 4 points.
Yes.
And Lee, you had Alonso, Sainz, and Hamilton, so you win the participation award for this week.
Yeah.
And that is now on the website. we've actually gone flash.
We're up to date.
We're up to date. We are actually putting the podcast predictions on the website along with the listeners' predictions. So go to threelegsfourwheels.com, look in the games section, and there's links to all the stuff in there, even the Fantasy F1. If you want to help us out, you can donate and pledge on Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/threelegsfourwheels and donate anything from $1, €1, £1, one Bavarian Spluddig upwards. I don't know if that's an actual thing. It sounds like a currency. You get the podcast a little bit early, no adverts on weeks when sponsored, and the occasional extra Patreon show, which I think we'll do one next week because we haven't got a race to review. I think we're about due to do another Patreon pod, aren't we? Somebody agree with me?
I would think so.
It means we have to do something interesting, really, so that we've got something to talk about.
I'll find something. We've got a load of Star Wars stuff to watch on TV. We'll talk about that. If you want to get in touch, email is threelegsfourwheels@gmail.com and at threelegsfourwheels on all the socials. And individually on Twitter we are...
At Sean Cowper.
At Flood21.
At Musty Audio.
He got it right!
Yay.
And at Pablo100. Right, we will be back next week, and we'll have another race to look forward to. Until then, see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.